Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, and on this episode, I am going over what I had just come up with while I was driving, the 5 E's of nutrition coaching or personal training. I drive a lot for my day job. I'm an outside sales rep, and I'm in the car, and I'm just always thinking. My mind is going constantly. So, I started thinking of some things that I, do when I'm coaching, training somebody. And, a few of them just came to my head, and they seem to have started with an E, about 3 of them, and I upped it to 5. And I have a in-order kind of way to approach a client. If maybe you are a coach or trainer coming up, I've been doing this for 7 years, and maybe you're getting into it now. Or maybe you are looking for a coach or trainer, and you want to see what's this actually like. What's the process like? How is this? There's a lot of fear base to start up to ask for help. And it's scary, and so that's like one of the biggest hurdles, right? Just to make that phone call, send that message or whatever it is to say, hey, I need help with this. And, not really knowing, what it's like to work with a trainer or a coach. And they're all different, it doesn't necessarily mean maybe you had a bad experience once with one. It doesn't mean that the next one's not going to be great for you. It kind of goes like as a therapist, right? Like it's a relationship. So, you might bounce through a few therapists and all of a sudden you find the right one and then your life begins to change. I might be that for you. I also might not. You never know. You can be a good coach or trainer and you just don't mesh well with a certain person. That's all kinds of stuff. People are so individualized and it goes so deep. That's why the blanket stuff, the one size fits all diets, the fads, the 30-day stuff is all usually trash just because it doesn't drill deep into the root and figure things out. So I kind of said, well, what could I put out there that kind of gives people an idea of, the process? It's one thing to talk about macronutrients and calorie deficits and strength training and frequency and progressive overload and all these fancy terms for getting your body in shape and all of that. But what we're really doing here is trying to change a life and change a lifestyle at that. And that's one of the hardest things to do as a coach or trainer and as an individual, because I've had my struggles. And I've talked about those all the time, and I have no problem with that because the first E that I'm coming up with, and I know this is a little cliche, they say the 5 E's or whatever the heck, but I don't care. So the first E that I lead out with all the time, and I hold this through the whole process, and I'll never lose it, is empathy. You have to have empathy as a coach or trainer. You must. It is so necessary. You have to go and when you listen, you have to listen attentively to that initial phone call, that initial meeting with that client, and you have to look them in the eyes, and you have to hear where they've been, what they've done, and in your brain, while you're actively listening, you have to also be able to go ahead and say, hey, I understand that I've had a similar situation. Find areas where you can say, hey, look, I'm not coming at you from a pedestal here trying to tell you what to do. Pointing out your faults. I'm going to tell you, hey, I had these mistakes. I made these mistakes. So not only am I humbling a little bit myself here and then saying like, hey, you know what? I've done this. But now they realize, oh, hey, this guy's a real person. He's not just some anomaly out there who's just thinks he's fit and all this, and he's better than me. I'm not at all. I've been there and I made these mistakes, and I will always admit to those. And I think that's a great way to go, because that client sort of says, okay, they can breathe a little bit, like, oh, all right, so it is okay to struggle and fail here and there and have hard times while you go through it. So what I'll do is give a lot of examples of what I've done and the mistakes I've made. I have no problem with that, whether they're comparable to that person or not. I also explain to them, failure and struggles is part of the process. It's going to happen. It will happen. It needs to happen. That's where the growth comes in. You have to have struggle to have growth. You can't just linear it. It's not linear. Perfection is fake. So you have to just listen, tell them straight up, this is forever. And we are going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not supposed to be. And that's the way, because it wasn't for me. So I empathize as best I can with the demographics that I work with and where I can. And there's differences. Obviously, let's say there's a 400-pound man versus a 150-pound woman. The 400-pound man has got a steep hill to climb here. He maybe has some health issues. There might be an eating disorder involved or some traumas going on, and that's when I have to thread the needle there and be like, hey, you know what? Perhaps there is a time where, you have to go and talk to a behavioral professional or a psychiatrist or something of the sort, someone more licensed to treat a disorder, where I can't even empathize to that. So that's where I'd have to stop. I can still be empathetic, but I can't necessarily treat that or do anything as further necessarily. But and then with the woman who's 150 pounds, maybe just looking to lose 20, 30 pounds, that, I can just pinpoint what I can, that I've been in that stage and how slow the weight loss happens at that point, kind of those types of things. And, some women like to, you have women trainers, men like to have men trainers, but I really believe that anyone can learn from anybody, men from women, women from men. I don't believe that it's so like black and white with that. So once you're talking to this client and you start to empathize with them, they become comfortable, they open up more, and they feel safe, they feel comfortable in that spot. You want to create a safe, comfortable place for these people to open up to you to teach, so you can get as much information from them as you can, because that makes you a more effective trainer or coach to know what's really making them tick inside. Because if they don't want to let out enough information to you, you're going to struggle as a trainer because you don't have their full scope of what's bothering them and what their issues really are. And again, you can only go so deep. So empathy, no matter what. So we lead out with empathy, make them feel comfortable, make them feel good. And then from there, the next E is excitement. You want to get them excited about the process. So once they do feel safe and comfortable and they open up more, you can kind of explain the process in a way that leads, in a more exciting confidence type of way, rather than them feeling dread, fear, and self-doubt. Like, a lot of times that's what they'll walk into doing, going to a trainer or a coach, or taking on a lifestyle change is a very scary thing to do. So a lot of times that's met with dread, fear, and a lot of self-doubt. But if you can get them excited, and I was going to use confident, but I wanted to stick with the whole E gimmick, because I'm weird like that. So we're just going to say excitement. But really what you want to do is get their confidence up, which get them, when your confidence gets up, you get excited. That's just the way we operate. So if you can lift that confidence, keep them comfortable, confidence. Maybe it could have been all C's. I don't know yet. But comfort has another meaning, so I'll leave that alone. But anyways, so you get them in a good place, you get them excited, you get them ready to go. And, you start to establish the trust, and now it's time to move on. So they sign up with you, you start getting going, you get things together. Then the next E is encouragement. Okay. So you want to stay encouraging as well as empathetic the entire way. Keep it as exciting as possible. The excitement won't last, because excitement goes with motivation, and motivation is fleeing as well as, excitement. So it doesn't always stay exciting, because it's always exciting when it's new. So the excitement won't last. So you got to stay encouraging when the excitement drops. Okay. So to keep the process alive through encouragement, never berate or shame or scold anybody. I don't think that's the right way to do it, unless you get somebody that says, hey, I want you to treat me like you're a drill sergeant and do this and that. I say, okay, fine. I never had that happen, but I've heard of that before. But that's just not really what I see as a successful way to go for 99% of people. Again, by request. Remind them that the necessity of failures and stalls. Okay. Because if you have someone on a fat loss goal, a big time fat loss goal, and week 1, 2, 3, 4, they're seeing results, whether it be on the scale, in the mirror, on their clothes, whatever else, just how they feel. And then you're going to get a week or two where shit, nothing's happening here. It stopped. I'm done. It stopped here. No, it didn't. This is called a plateau, potentially, or maybe the adherence to this thing is slipping. We have to figure out which one it actually is, and then from there we can figure out how to pick things up and move it along. But you stay encouraging no matter what. You just don't quit. That's the bottom line. There's no failure, really. I use the word failure, but there really is no failure unless you get rid of effort. And then, hey, that's like the 6th E. It's not even one of them. Effort. You just got to keep the effort going. That's really it. So that's a bonus E in this. Keep. I'm making myself sick with all this E stuff, but keep them aware that the process is not linear. Okay, so remember that. We have to always remember that it's going to go up and down, up and down. Like think about like stock market, right? So you invest some money in a stock. How often does it always just shoot right up and just keep making money constantly, hand over fist? It doesn't. It has its up days, its downs, ups and downs. That's how your fat loss is going to be, except in the other direction, going down instead of up. And then, here's another thing that's really important, and it's hard to get people to wrap this one around them, to ditch that perfectionist mindset. Just got to know that going 80% on point 100% of the time is going to lead to more success than trying to go 100% 100% of the time. I know that's hard to follow maybe, but you're better off and you're going to last longer doing 80% right. Go, counting your food, weighing your stuff, hitting your macros, staying within your calorie surplus or deficit, wherever you're at. If you're 80%, especially later on in it, as things start to progress, if you go 80%, this is a lifestyle. So if you go 80%, you'll be successful the whole way. If you try to go 100% the whole way, that's when you stop and you end up at zero again. So, we're conditioned though to, always with our hustle culture and our work culture to give 100%, go. Everyone's got to go and be the best and do this and beat everybody out. This is there's no competition here. This is you against you. And there's nobody else you're going up against. It's just 100%. It's the beauty of this whole thing, why I'm into it so much. It's because there's no bullshit boss. There's no asshole coworker. You don't have to worry about anybody else taking a promotion, or you don't have to worry about a client and having to sign and having the funds to sign a deal or whatever the hell. So you don't have to worry about any of that shit. It is really just up to you. And it's kind of a great feeling. And I'll talk more about that, So yeah, we have been conditioned in this clown culture to, just overwork and go balls out and beast mode and all that garbage. But forget it. So now once you're empathetic and they're excited, they got some confidence built, and you're encouraging them, they're going to start to see the results coming in. And this is the good part. That's when they're like, hey, okay, they're feeling good. They're into it now. And that's when the education, the next one, the fourth E is education. So, like we said, once they begin to establish the confidence, and simultaneously while they're, growing the confidence, or after you can see that they've reached this new point, you can give that client information that they can go ahead and start to use on their own and understand why I'm suggesting certain things in this process. I can help them identify on their own, their own less than ideal habits, I should say, that are, I can show them, hey, this is what was causing this. You can kind of say, okay, so that's new information. So I have to maybe refrain from doing this so much. This is what was holding me back all those years from this fat loss that I was going for. And you can point out the advent of new habits. You say, they don't even sometimes know that they've all of a sudden done it. Like, so all of a sudden you can be like, look, you even realize this? You're hitting your protein every single day. You're hitting it every day. It's not even like in the beginning, it was tough. You were down, you were low, you were up and down, but now you hit it, every day. So you point those things out. Again, that's part of the encouragement, still sticking with it. And, then you can get even more specific with them once you've pointed that out, giving them that even boosts their confidence more. And then you can get specific with them about more education and information, like what the macronutrients mean, where they need to go, how to move them around, reading nutrition labels, putting together effective strength training routines, and all of that good stuff. And you can just start the education process there once once you get to that point where they're really taking that in and they want to. That's when the lifestyle change is really starting to get into place. And then the fifth and final E I put is everlasting, because this thing is forever. And what you really need to do is, this is hard to explain a little bit, but this is where the integrity of the coach and trainer needs to be on display, because you have two options, right? You can create a dependency. So you can have somebody, you can help somebody to where they still need you and they're going to keep paying you, right? So there's the monetary aspect of this. Do I want to create a dependency on me so this person needs me, so they can't do it by themselves? They need me to do it. In some cases, they might still just want you there for accountability, and they just like to have somebody there with them doing this. And that's also okay. That's okay. I don't think it's a failure to have like clients come back and want help. I've had that happen where, obviously I've had some great clients that, were with me for quite some time. And they said, all right, I'm going to give this a chance on my own. And then they come back in a year, but they didn't come back in a year, messed up and gained all their weight back and then some. They came back in still pretty good shape and even better shape. And they just wanted to get kind of a restart, or maybe they were just getting bored of what they were doing, and maybe they just need that mental kickstart and a restart, and then just kind of like go back into it, or they just enjoyed having you there to talk to, which is awesome. So basically, a coach doing this for the right reasons does not want to create this dependency. Okay, so you don't want to create a dependency intentionally. You want to create a good relationship, and that can lead to the repeat business. That's the kind of repeat business you want. So you want them to be able to carry on all the new habits, the information learned for the rest of their lives. You got to constantly. I will constantly remind the client that this is forever. I will constantly tell them that. I will seriously sit there and say, this is forever. And that should be both a little terrifying, but mostly liberating, I think, because it is forever. And forever scares people, because something permanent is scarier than something that's temporary. That's why a 90-day diet's going to sell better. Oh, I just got to do this for 90 days. All right. Then I go back to my own life. Doesn't work like that, because if you do something for 90 days, you restrict a bunch of stuff, you live a way you don't want to live for 90 days. Yeah, maybe you get the results, but what happens on day 91? What do you do? That's why it should be liberating, because you know what? This is forever. That's why when somebody's, I have clients that come up to me and tell me, oh, I had pizza. I was like, great. How was it? Was it delicious? Yeah, it was great. Awesome. Well, hey, good. What do you mean good? I messed up. No, you didn't. You had pizza. No, just go ahead and start. Make the next meal a better one that's not as high calorie and low protein. And just go for it. This is one meal of your entire life. It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percentage of the meals you will have forever, because you're going to care about either your appearance, health, or both forever. And if otherwise, and the only other option is completely quitting on yourself and giving up and just letting go. So that's sort of the process. In short, I don't want this to be a long episode, because I do tend to ramble a little much. So I'm trying to get these more concise ones under 20 minutes in, and I think I'm going to get there. I'm really excited about it. But so anyways, to review, you sign up. This is just for me personally. Other trainers have their methods and things like that. Empathy, number one. If you come with me and work with me, I'm not going to sit there and shame you, laugh at you, or any of that shit. I've done it all. If I laugh at anybody, it'll be myself. I'll tell you a funny story about some dumb shit I did, about how much I've eaten in a day, how a stupid piece of workout equipment I thought was going to work that I purchased, some dumb diet I did, all that. I'll tell you that. That's a form of empathy in a sense. I almost saying like, hey, I understand you. I'll make it funny though. We'll make fun of me a little bit. And so, hey, don't worry about it. You did this. I ain't going to laugh at you. So you don't have to. You can feel safe in that position where I'm not going to laugh at you, because I'll give you a bunch of embarrassing shit that I've done. So then keep you, excitement's next. Keep you motivated and confident, build a confidence in that excitement and encouragement phase, which is next. And encouragement goes through the whole way, especially those little droughts, those dips that happen, the struggles. That's where the encouragement needs to be there by the coach or trainer. And then of course the education part of it, where you really start to help somebody go and do this on their own, like where, maybe I was just changing up their macros, putting their meal plans together with their suggestions, things like that. Maybe you can just start flipping that session over to, hey, are you ready to go and do this on your own? Let's learn some things, and let's let you go and see how it goes. And then like I said, everlasting. This has to be an everlasting lifestyle change. This is not a temporary diet. This is an everlasting change of just not only diet, but also of implementing training, movement, all kinds of stuff, ways to stay active. And it could be anything, outside of the scope. You can do other things, reading, creating your own podcast, writing, journaling, spending more time outside in nature, no matter what the weather is, So any of those things that are just going to kind of bring you something to get out of this, whatever this is we're in, where we're just so driven by work and fluorescent lights and jargon and office talk and work 12 hours. Everyone's got to brag about how busy they are. But what good is it to be so busy that you're just wearing your body down and destroying your personal relationships? What good is it? It's not. You can do both. It's got to be a blend. Because I don't want to see people in their retirement years, the golden years, in the twilight of their lives, passing away because they've seen it too much. Some avoidable, some not, of course, but I've seen it. And if you can do something for it, do it. I mean, at least you don't have the deathbed regret. At least you said you did your best. And that's what matters. So those are the 5 E's that I operate with. So if you work with me, that's what you're going to get. If you want to contact me to work with me, because I sold you with the 5 E's, it is at MFS Wellness. That's going to be Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. And Mike at mfswellness.com. So contact me there. My phone number's on my site. Everywhere else, there's an intake sheet. It's mfswellness.com is the website. You can read some reviews and things like that and see what the options are to start up and all that good stuff. So, I wouldn't charge for this, but I have to because, A, if you put a financial investment in it, it's going to push you a little more. And I also want to have more time to spend doing this, so that helps me not have to do more of my day job, of course. But that being said, that's my contact. They'll be in the show notes, and I will be back soon with some new guests and some more fun stuff. And I really appreciate everybody that listens. So until then, thank you all very much, and we'll talk to you soon.